Hello everyone, this is Dr. Shijun Wang from Weber State. Today we are going to explore together Opus 10 number 4. This is probably not as difficult as Opus 10 number 1 or 2, or later not as hard as the double thirds, but still this is one of the harder etudes in this whole set. They say in college that if you can choose the same course, one taught by a younger professor, one taught by an older professor, usually you should go to the older professor, not because of the way they teach, but because of the way they give you assignments, right? Younger professors tend to give you a lot because they haven't learned how to balance it well. I think this is a classical example of the 18-year-old Chopin being like super young and doing everything difficult. I think there are many challenges in this piece. One of the biggest one is what we call reflection counts. Yeah, Miss Chu, Narita Chu taught me like when you have irregular and when you have many reflection counts, meaning how the notes change directions, the more you have, the harder the piece are, or the more confused your hands will get. If we count this from the downbeat, like if the note goes down or up, it really is irregular and it changes every single time. So for instance, the very beginning, you go up and then down and then up. So up, down, up. And then you go up to the new section and then up, down, up. So I think if we really considering this from the very first 16th notes and then group them into 4, it's going to be quite confusing. However, I think here is Chopin played a mental trick with us. If we count everything from the third note of the 16th note group, so instead of, if we count from the B sharp, it becomes so easy because it's going up 4 notes. Okay, I think here left hand also have the similar situation. If we count from here, it's quite difficult, but if we count from the third 16th note, and then use our wrist to help us push it to the top, it becomes quite easy. Okay, there are other etudes that shares the same trick, kind of like Opus 10 number 12. If we count, but if we still count from the third note, then it's one straight line going down. Okay, another challenge of this piece is the key, C sharp minor. What's the graphic, the map of this, the hand positions is quite confusing, right? If this is composed in A minor, it becomes so easy because it's all flat, right? It's kind of like driving in Oklahoma. You don't need to worry about making sharp turns on the hill. But however here, very oftentimes we need to use our thumb on the black keys. We say J.S. Bach is the composer that freed our thumb, right? Before him, rarely there were any composers that successfully use the thumb. They often only use 2, 3, 4, and 5. But between Bach and this time period, usually composers will hesitate on using their thumbs on the black keys. I think Chopin further explored the usage of our thumb on black keys, which required us to have a very different wrist angles when we play when we use thumb on the black keys. Okay, measure number 3. Also, it's quite challenging because of this big stretch. However, I rarely see people play this exactly the way it's written. If we take a closer look, the second note of each beat is actually marked as a double stem. It's an 8th note. So instead of playing everything equal, we should hold on to that G sharp a tiny bit longer. Yeah? Almost it sounds like a 2-note slur. I believe that's like an answer of measure 8 to the left hand. It's like a mirror image of the 2-note slur. It also helps us to find the positions. Right? If we hold on to this note, it's kind of like a bridge note, a pivot note that helps our thumb and our pinky to find the correct position. I talked about this in Opus 10 number 1, how we use the second finger to establish the new hand position. I think in the way our hand is built, second finger always plays the role of connecting these 4 fingers with the thumb. Okay, another interesting fact, I know this is Opus 10 number 4, but somehow Chopin always group everything into 4, right? With different units, with different lengths of units. The right hand, if we count them from the 3rd 16th note, it's in a very smaller group of 4 16th notes. And left hand, the phrasing is also in 8th plus the 8th rest is in quarter, but it's also in 4, but with a much larger phrasing. Now here, an interesting fact is that although this is a cut time, right? If you can count it in 2 or in 4, whatever you choose, but we never count it from the downbeat, right? Not the right hand, not the left hand. We count from the second note or from the 3rd note, right? I think somehow he learned this from J.S. Bach, because when J.S. Bach writes 16th notes, he never asks us to count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, right? He always have a very graceful way of connecting 16th notes by writing them 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 in the tempo clavier. I think Chopin learned it from him. And also here, the right hand and then the left hand. Everything is grouped in 4. Measure 13, we have an unusual accent on the 4th note, which require us to get ready on the 3rd beat. On the 3rd beat, you're already, if we're thinking of string instrument, the 3rd note should be already on the tip of the bow, so that the 4th beat, the 4th note, we can have a new down bow. Okay, so somehow the wrist motion has to be designed. Measure 29 and 30, I think remains one of the most difficult sections of this whole piece. The reason being, all the similar note patterns has a different graphic of the keys. Sometimes it goes from white to black, sometimes it goes from white to white. I think in terms of fingering, one rule to remember is to not use the same set of fingering. Chopin himself put 3 for the first group. Of course, that's the second beat. the grouping starts on the second beat of measure 29. So he put third finger and then fourth finger, third finger and then fourth finger. It's a great fingering to use. However, I have something that fits better to my finger that I feel more comfortable, which is 3, 4, 2, 3, and then 3, 5, 2, 3, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 5, 2, 3. Just somehow I'm very used to using 3, 5 on this 2 white keys group. But rule number 1, do not use the same set of fingering on the similar patterns but different note graphics. Okay, measure 31. Here we need to make sure the right hand pinky is playing this deep enough, and is of course staying the full value of the quarter note. So a lot of wrist motion. Measure 33, left hand has this repeated note pattern that of course we need to keep our fingers as close to the keys as possible, right? So that we can do it quickly and also with better control. Interestingly enough, Chopin is not a big fan of writing repeated patterns. This is as repeated pattern, as many repeated notes as he ever wrote. Unlike Liszt, who is obsessed with repeating single notes and even repeating octave, right? Like in the Hungarian Rhapsody No. 6. But even when Chopin writes octaves, he likes to always move them. And here, measure 33, 34, 35, 36, obviously it's a classical 4-bar phrase, but usually when we have 4-bar phrase or 8-bar phrase, it's usually short, short, long, right, in the classical habit of phrasing. But here, Chopin uses long, short, short. Long, long with many, many short. So keep that in mind. And of course, he didn't mark piano, but somehow I think it's more contrasting in characters if I play these a little lighter, but that's just a personal preference. Measure 41, again, long, short, short. And here we have what we call a harmonic acceleration. Meaning harmonically it changes more and more often, so it feels like the piece is getting faster and faster without actually changing the tempo at all. As we can see in measure 44, right, it's a different harmony on every beat. The end of this piece, the left hand is pretty challenging, and of course Chopin here writes as forte, as loud as possible. We have to take one thing into consideration. Chopin's playo piano is not a loud instrument comparing to his contemporary Broadwood or other brands. So maybe the reason Chopin put it in this way because he's thinking in the range of his own piano. But on a modern Steinway, I don't think we should use this literally. So just play it loud, but not too overwhelmingly. The reason here is hard is because of this big jump, the large leap of intervals. I think here a couple of things we can think of. One is that we do not need to transport all of the arm weight to the lower C sharp. As we can see, the accented note is only on the octave note, not on the C sharp. Because if we transport all the way down, it slows us down, and then that C sharp, of course, will be too loud. I think in terms of the technique, I would advise my students to focus on my left hand on the right side, on the thumb side. And then the C sharp is so soft, it's just like a byproduct of this pushing gesture. Okay. And of course, we need very, very good luck and a lot of practice to nail the C sharp minor arpeggio at the very end. The difficult part being it's the second inversion, and in terms of the fingering, our fourth finger needs to play on the C sharp, the black key, very loudly and very fast. So the fourth finger, a lot of times if we do not think that we should support it, it will slip to the white key. So when I play this part, I always basically tell my fourth finger to support the weight I'm adding upon it. And of course, to keep this second inversion frame very firm is another very, very good tip. Okay, and I think that's all I want to share with you guys on this piece. If you're a YouTube viewer, if you have any questions, please add your comment and we can have a discussion upon these wonderful literature. Next week, I'm going to explore with everybody the beauty of the Black Keys Etude. Thank you so much.